Now entering the Bitcoin Podcast Network.
Welcome to Buy or Sell What the Hell with Jason Jenkins, Alec Z, and D. JJ began his career at Charles Schwab as a trader in the equity and options markets before moving to the sell side to trade fixed income at V Finance, JDB Financial, and CG Capital. With over a decade of experience in trading U.S. Treasuries and building out institutional analysis, he covered all the primary dealers, large buy-side money managers, and hedge funds. And now he's applying his expertise to the cryptocurrency markets. Do you buy or do you sell?
All right, and welcome back. Another episode. It's not March. I see 324 on my screen, and that 3 makes me visualize. I think it's actually March when it's April. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Jason back here with Dimitri and Alec as usual.
Yep. Back
What's
again.
going on, guys?
Episode number 23 of Buy or Sell Without. What's going on? Not a mucho.
Michael Jordan.
That's right. That means we're going to get a triple-double, whatever that means in podcasting. Doesn't mean anything. But welcome back, you guys. And as usual, we're going to hit you with some Bitcoin movement, what it's been up to since the last time we spoke to you. Then some market news and us commenting on the market news. And, you know how the show goes. We're pretty lax. So, JJ, you could take it away. What's Bitcoin been up to since last Thursday?
Yeah, well, it's finally had a nice tone shift in the market. So today being Tuesday, last Thursday we had talked about Wednesday the smaller cap names, the altcoins, they actually started to turn up on the intermediate term first, and we said, you know what? That's interesting because we haven't seen a higher high in weeks and weeks and weeks. Really, this intermediate term weakness in the overall market started in January, but definitely was in a intermediate term downtrend as of February. And so, as anybody that's been sitting through this lack of energy knows, that the week before last was absolutely miserable. I mean, I think we maybe did like 2 trades all week, and there was just zero energy. And then that all changed last week. So we thought Wednesday was interesting. The alts moved first, and then we had a huge squeeze Thursday that we talked about. It seemed like a lot of the shorts were pretty confident the week before. A lot of them are still underwater, just from talking to different traders and just kind of having the ear to the ground. And so that's always the start of a rally. But I really think this last week was very meaningful. The market held exactly where it should have longer term if you're looking at a weekly chart of Bitcoin. So we've been pretty consistent saying 6,000 is, you want to be a buyer back towards the bands on the weekly chart. That's where we should get a higher low. If we hold, then, you know, the long-term uptrend's still in place. If you can't hold 6,000, then there was a lot of risk below that area. And so far so good. We still need to kind of break some pivots on the daily and weekly chart. And then you will have even more momentum on the longer term. Right now, you have no upside momentum longer term. This is all just an intermediate term pop, and we'll see if it can follow through. But we got pretty aggressive into the end of last week and put some cash to work. And we've had some good trades, and we've had a 77% move on Cardano off the lows of our lowest buy signal. The move in Salt was similar. We had good buys in Monero. We added the BTC, Litecoin, and Ethereum all last week. So we got some decent follow through, you know, to start the week, which is exciting. You can kind of see the attitude changing on Twitter. You guys echoing the same kind of?
Yeah, there's just been an overall tone shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I could see that too. The sentiment's definitely swinging at least back neutral, because for a good 3 weeks there, it was like, this is the end, fellas. Grab the life vest. It's going down. But it always gets like that in crypto before somebody sees an opportunity and starts things going the other way.
Yeah, it just takes that one catalyst, which I don't know what was the catalyst that turned it. I don't even remember any news stories that.
No, there really wasn't. I mean, I think it was more reflexive more than anything, just meaning that just position sizing, and it was a very technical move. A lot of these crypto traders got up their trend lines drawn down and their wedges pretty well covered in this market. So that snapped. I think he was mostly positioning. We really didn't have that much news that day.
We didn't have much news. And I mean, there really hasn't been any huge news. I mean, there was Coinbase hired somebody and bought a sinking ship. I actually like the earn.com business model. I know I'm like in the small camp of people that do, but yeah. I mean, I think it's just because I tried to release a survey on the internet before, and usually everybody's like, F your survey. I'm not answering anything for you.
What is the business model?
For me, it's like if you need people to answer a survey, then you allocate a certain amount of money, and that almost guarantees you're going to get the amount of responses that you need to write the write-up or do the thing that you need to do. So, like, if you need 500 responses, you give them $1,000 and you charge everyone, or you give everyone $2, right? And then that increases the likelihood that you get your 500 responses. I get that. That's kind of cool. And then instead of having a cost per user, that's kind of lessened by the fact that you have other users paying other users. So, like if you make a website, basically the biggest metric you look at is cost per user. Like how much did it cost me to build this thing? How much does it cost me to keep it running? And then take that number and divide it by the number of users that you get. But if that cost is kind of, I don't know, cut down by the fact that you're getting revenue from other users, paying other users, then, you can branch off of your website a little bit more and make money faster. But they haven't made any money yet, and that's pretty apparent. So
earn, but is the goal to have like earn crypto now?
Yeah, you earn crypto. So like you get like $2 in Bitcoin, and if you answer your own emails or if you respond to survey questions, basically if you respond to anything, you get paid for it. So it's also good for like if a celebrity wants to maybe, I don't know, cut corners and say, I'll charge you $100 to email me. I'm going to see it just like I'd see a tweet, or I probably don't see a tweet anymore because my PR guy handles my tweets. But if you want to email me specifically, it's $100. If I respond, I get paid. If I don't care about you at all. So I don't know. There's other options there, but
seems like a lot of information they'll have access to.
I'm in a small camp. A lot of people think it was a dumb move, but Balaji's a smart move. It's like picking up A-Rod back in the late 90s.
Ooh.
When it comes to that's right. I know a little baseball, JJ. A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
Baseball's not my favorite. It's a little slow.
Yeah, there was no big news. So the price is just doing what it does. But there has been some news. We talk about regulatory trends quite a lot on this show because it seems natural, because those seem to be the, I don't know, biggest indicators of how the institutions feel towards this new asset class. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think regulation is probably the number one thing on agendas as far as, what we got to take care of before we get this institutional money and these institutional players committed into the market. So, that's what I think what the market anchored on a lot on the way down was, we kind of viewed regulation as, hey, you're getting in the way, and they're going to outlaw crypto, and oh my gosh, here they come. But really, it's actually what we need so that these back offices and all these regulated industries and as regulated as finance is already, they can participate. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing some of these exchanges just shifting around jurisdictions like crazy. I think Binance, they had just gotten approved in Japan, I guess, allegedly, and then they had just moved to Malta. Was it last week?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure. But, yeah, they're going to Malta. Then earlier today, we see the news Kraken won't be releasing the Kraken anymore in Japan. So they're moving too. So at it's kind of contradictory, though. I think I figured it out, and I want you guys to follow me on this one. So they're cracking down, and then at the same time, we've got Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, being really vague about things, saying basically, if we're going to regulate this stuff, we need to think about it nice and long and hard. So we regulate smart. And it's like, okay, so that doesn't say anything.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what's your timeline? Because you guys have had like several years to kind of figure out what Bitcoin is. I mean, BTC white paper has been on the internet last I checked for quite a while.
About 8 years now. So I guess they're taking their sweet time. Christine Lagarde looks like the bad guy in one of those like what's those teeny bopper movies, like Maze Runner, or what's the one with the chick with the bow and arrow?
Fucking Hunger Games now.
Hunger Games, yeah, she looks like the bad guy in a Hunger Games movie.
Yeah, like my daughters watch Mickey Mouse Club or something on Disney Channel, and she's like, yeah,
Emperor Lagarde.
Just another unelected, overlord, one of our financial overlords that can part the skies and, walk on water.
But I guess my theory with all that is why it seems to be clamping down on some areas and being really vague in other areas and slightly positive at times is because I think banks literally make money off uncertainty. Like, if everything were for certain that my money wouldn't get stolen by someone, then I would never have put it into a bank, right? If it were certain, but it's not certain, so I put it into a bank.
Yeah.
Right? And so if an asset class is like certain to be there, then you can't really make profit off of holding it or managing it for someone. So I think like there's always at the end of every board meeting in a place like IMF where they're like, hey, make sure we sprinkle in a little uncertainty, like just make sure we keep the people guessing because we make money if we're keeping the people guessing. So
yeah, and they have their hands full enough as it is. I mean, Europe's on the brink of a banking crisis, so I can't stand the IMF, what it stands for. I think it's even worse, some of the stuff that she's gotten away with, and but they did actually make a pretty true assessment of the global growth picture and just how. I mean, if the ECB and the IMF use the same banking standards that they're making all the other banks abide by, and all the Basel II stuff, and how they classify things on their bank balance sheets. I mean, all these governments and these central banks would wouldn't be allowed to even exist based on their same standards. Mm-hmm. So they know the issues that exist in Europe, and she's got her hands full there. I don't think they have time to deal with this crypto. They probably realize that they want to use the blockchain somehow, and they probably realize that when we do have this next banking crisis, and it's these central banks are going to be in trouble. They don't think they want to paint themselves into the corner where if people start really losing confidence in some of those central authorities, that they don't they don't be seen as the only bad guy, and they can say, oh wait, no, we see blockchain as a solution. We want to, I don't know. They maybe want to push their gosh, I lost
agenda.
Yeah, no, but their special drawing rights, their SDRs. They know there's something serious wrong with the system, and I just don't think they're gonna come out and say anything until there's a crisis.
I think a lot of it has to do with the speed. So Bitcoin was only used by criminals in the dark web, and then all of a sudden, a year and a half, 2 years later, there's commercials on TV for exchanges.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone anticipated the speed this was going to catch on. Bitcoin's going to rise thousands of percentage points in years.
Yeah.
And I don't think these institutions just aren't made to
move that fast.
To move that fast, yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine how long it takes to come up with some of these more intricate laws and regulations, and they've never had to experience a shift like this.
Yeah.
It's a very good point out.
So they don't know what to do. So they're just one guy saying this saying that. I mean,
yeah,
that's a great point.
Well, and two, I think the European Commission, the EU in Brussels, is actually that's the stuff that's going to come out from them is actually what we'd really need to be concerned with. I mean, they've already said you can't short European bonds because they know that once rates rise, they're going to have a hard-ass time selling their debt. And so they don't want people shorting because they think if you short the bonds that you're going to exacerbate it and cause the thing to collapse, when the reality is the fact that the governments can't stop borrowing and the fact that they loaded up their countries with, a stupid amount of debt relative to GDP, that's the real reason why they're not going to be able to sell their bonds. But yeah, you can't short European bonds. So what are they going to do next? So you can't short the euro? I mean, the more that they pull that crap, that's just the more the market's going to look at that and say, see, we've lost confidence in you guys' ability to so-called central plan the economy. Meanwhile, you guys are making it worse, and you guys caused this next, financial panic. And but that's what I see coming next. I think they're going to have their hands full with bonds, and they're going to have their hands full with the euro. That, I mean, if they're trying to keep Bitcoin down, they're going to have much bigger problems. But I think you'll see crypto actually benefit from all that. The more they fall on their face, people are going to be like, this old system, we're done with this.
Yeah, I can't say I'm voting for the collapse of the current systems that are in place, but I am voting for them to realize that you can't keep doing the same things and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm voting for. But in other news, were you guys pumped that Pornhub takes Verge now?
I didn't get a chance to read into that. I saw everybody in the world in crypto commenting on it, though.
I feel like we shouldn't even allow that name to be spoken on this.
Verge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving it more awareness. I mean,
man, if I could read between the lines on that, one of the top executives at old Pornhub has a shit ton of Verge that he bought from one of his buddies that talked him into buying it.
No, I just see I see Verge. They hyped it up. They made a ton of money, and they offered Pornhub a ton of money. Hey, you should accept Verge. Here's a ton of money. And
got dumped this morning too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
tax day. So, we're recording this on tax day.
I mean,
I forgot to say that. Hope you guys paid your taxes by the time you listen to this. If you didn't, don't know what to tell you. But I mean, Alec, like you said, they got the price of Verge dumped so hard right after this news came out. It is like, okay, what are you guys doing over there at Pornhub?
What do they do in their ICO, Alec? Did they do an ICO?
Verge? Yeah, they did.
I don't think they did an ICO. I thought they were just like
I don't remember.
Alternate blockchain altogether.
I don't even know. I don't really care either. After reading what the founders have done, the way they present themselves and handle everything, it's a terrible taste in my mouth.
Well, it just makes me want to compete, to be honest.
So I'm looking at this advertisement, and it says, "The future has come. Pornhub and Verge are one."
The future.
Wow.
That's what we've been missing. Finally. We don't need regulation.
We just need Verge.
Yeah.
Like, why would it be Verge? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
because
it should be like Monero or something.
Because one of those executives is sitting on a bag and he's trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. Nice partnership.
I mean, even like Vcash, even Dash, just anything else, please.
Yeah, I mean, there's
anything else would have made more sense from a payment solution.
Zcash, Monero, Dash, like you could just name them.
I'm actually advocating for Dash right now over Verge, and I never thought I'd advocate for partnerships.
I think Verge might be the next one on Coinbase.
Really?
No.
Well, it is private. It's a privacy coin, so there's that.
Well, we all got to remember that BitConnect also made it to the top 10. So,
ooh, nice.
Oh, I might have to eat my foot, guys. Many moons ago on the Bitcoin podcast, I asked the question. I said, "Why can't they be black papers?" I was just joking. And Verge is calling theirs the black paper.
Oh, is it really?
It is.
Maybe they're listening right now. I hope we're not hurting their feelings.
Oh no. Oh, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with the onion routing. Maybe I should stop shitting on them and check them out. There's no telling why Pornhub does what they do outside of porn, but anyways, moving on from that. Is there any other news that you guys think that kind of affected the market or has the potential to affect the market that we didn't bring up at all?
No, I mean, I think the last week was the first strong week we've had in a while. So, one day doesn't make a trend, 1 week doesn't make a trend. So we're using this, just so people can maybe get a visual listening. We rallied close to our pie line if you're looking at a 4-hour chart. So considering the move from 6,600, we bounced off the bottom down there a few times early April. Then we had the squeeze last week. You rallied back to pie about close to basically 8,400. Now we're trading at 7,880. But we were kind of looking for this zone back here, 7,400, 7,500, where we're gonna add to some stuff that we took off on this bounce here yesterday. So we're bullish unless you get me back below that monstrous candle, or what we call real money candle from the 12th, which was Wednesday, right? Or Thursday, whatever that big crazy 15% move we had, in an hour. As long as we're above that low, which is about 6,800. As long as we're above 6,800, I think the market's, we're going to stay pretty active, looking for some follow through on this.
What would you say would be a major bullish trend?
What would change the
what would be a momentum? Total? Because I know you say all the time this isn't a bear market. In fact, I saw your post earlier today in our chat room, like this is a bear market, and it was 3 years of the S&P going down.
Yeah, and
then the next bear market was like 2 years of the S&P going down.
Yeah,
and crypto, we're like, oh man, 3 hours. 3 hours is enough.
Whew, that was a long bear market. I'm glad that's over.
3 hours is enough for me. I need to start seeing some green percentages. Throw up an hourly chart.
Yeah.
So,
so you're right, Dimitri. So, we talk about our chat room a lot. So if people go to Jenkins RM for risk management, jenkinsrm.com, in the top right, you see the chat. You can come in there. It's free to come in. And we were posting today, and I'm just bringing it back up, but I did a logarithmic chart of the S&P. So for those people that maybe don't know, there's linear charts. In other words, you can look at the price on a linear scale when you're bringing up a chart. And all that is you're just standard price movement or area on the chart is this, it's all the same distance. The log scale on the chart is great for the longer time horizons because it's going to take the same percentage move same percentage move on the chart, and then when you get double that same percentage move, it kind of expands it so you can get a better perspective of the longer term. Because otherwise, when you have a raging bull market, or like if you go look at the Dow and on a linear scale, you can't see the chart's just a flat line back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, just because the percent that we've moved over time, you only see the right hand side of the chart. So anyway, when you want to see what a real long-term bull market looks like, you bring up the log chart of BTC going back to, I use bitcoin.com for that data, and I mean, we've done nothing but make higher lows. So you haven't had a significant break to a lower low at all. So this continues to be probably the best, most dominant trend on the planet when it comes to markets since the Great Recession, since the 2008 crisis. And then if you look at the S&P, so SPX, if you look at the cash index, we had two recessions, 2000 and 2008. And then we had a couple cyclical slowdowns in 2011, 2013, but then this most recent one was 2015 to 2016. And we even started to see a little bit downtrends in 2011 and 2015 on those charts. But on the big ones, when the .com market collapsed, and then when we had real estate collapse, both of those were real bear markets. Those lasted 2 years, and you can see that on the log scale, even of the SPX, it's obvious what a bear market looks like. So I think it's proper to put it in context. So Dimitri, you said, well, what gets us really bullish longer term?
Mm-hmm.
So the long-term chart right now, when you want to look at a trend, what classifies a trend when you're in an uptrend is higher lows and higher highs. So the long-term view of Bitcoin, the higher lows that needed to hold was right around the 6,000 area. Basically on the weekly level, it held exactly where it should have. And so that keeps the long-term uptrend in place. So there's no bear market until you start making lower lows and lower highs. We don't have that on the long term. But we do have, we're making higher lows, but we do have a series of lower highs that's been defining the intermediate term downtrend. And so to get that, so you can still have higher lows, but then you can have lower highs relative to other pivots. And to get the momentum, you need fresh new highs. And so to get some of those newer highs, you need to get above 9,000, and then you need to get above 12,000. You get above there, and then it's going to look like, it's basically a brand new uptrend on all time frames at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's
good enough for me.
Kind of hard to visualize when you're listening. That's why you come into the chat. That's why you get involved
and come to the live trading session.
Oh yeah, I've been doing so many lately. Yeah, so it's this Saturday, right, D?
Yes, Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern is when JJ's going to be doing a live trading session, because we know you guys have listened. Well, this is episode 23 now, and like JJ says all the time, it's really hard to visualize by just listening to us talk about it. So you should see it happen. You should see the live trading go down by JJ on Saturday morning. I mean, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be putting off your honey-do list for another week.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be listening to your kids watch Power Rangers. Or you're going to be
hockey doesn't start till way later, and maybe a 1:00 game, but that's why we're doing that earlier.
Yep. Let's see. Maybe there's a game. I think NBA's in the final in the postseason, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if there's a game, it's not happening until the evening. There's no game, postseason game happening at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. There's literally nothing that you're probably doing. And we know that thousands of you are listening to this. So what should you do at the time? You should watch JJ trade and ask him questions at the same time. Yeah. So
it's nice. Markets will be open,
Yep. Crypto doesn't sleep. So if you want to know how to get to that live trading session, I'll be posting information about it all throughout the week in our Slack under #PriceTalk. So if you're listening and you haven't joined the Slack yet, you're slacking. I hope you see what I just did there.
Mm-hmm.
And you slide into the Price Talk channel, and you're going to be getting information on how to get to that live trading room. So we're really looking forward to providing that for you guys, and you can see it in action instead of just listening to us talk about it.
Yeah. And also the distributedpost.com, we continue to get more and more people here that want to contribute. We're just aggregating everything that we think needs to be said or put out there, and good quality stuff on that site. And in this, maybe what I'll do is do an article under the markets for trading section that shows the visuals of what we were talking about today.
Yeah. So you hear that, guys? Follow @DistributedPost on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with Jason's articles.
Yep. Can I say something as for people that do want to contribute, like some minimum qualifications? Can navigate Slack. It's a pretty commonly used tool nowadays. So if you can't navigate Slack, I feel bad for your resume, or something like it. Every company is using something like Slack. Okay, so please know how to use Slack, and be willing to learn how to use Trello. Those two small qualifications, so we can get this thing up and spinning.
Nice. I like it.
Okay.
That's all I got, boys and girls.
Yeah, until next time.
Wrap it up.
Wait.